CSL Rogue Valley. Yay! Wow, we're all scattered up on the hill in the shade, and oh my, it's been 4 months since we came together in person, and it is so good to see you. I hope you all come within 6 feet before this is over so I can see who all is here, but welcome, welcome, welcome. And to those who are listening online, a big welcome, especially if you're joining us for the very first time, either here in the park, Bear Creek Park in Medford, or online. I'm Kimberly Hawkins. I'm the Senior Minister and Spiritual Director here at CSL Rogue Valley. It is my honor. I think that I know that we welcome each of you and honor each of you no matter where you happen to be on your personal spiritual journey. I always like to say we are a radically inclusive spiritual center dedicated to teaching spiritual tools to transform personal lives and help make a world that works for everybody. I'm a little emotional seeing y'all in person, so bear with me. I wanted to give a big shout out to our volunteers. You know, for the last 4 months, as we've been broadcasting with the skeleton crew at the Scottish Rite Center, there's been a dedicated crew of volunteers helping that happen. And first and foremost, I want to recognize, if we can clap at the very end for all of them. Bill Miner, who's way up there in the trees in the shade, who's been our producer and chief videographer and absolutely essential. Down here in front, we have Connie Miner, Bill's wife, and Randy Clark and Jason Rummel on cameras. Shannon Schnibbe is out there somewhere as well, who's helped set up. Our board president, Deb Radcliffe, and our board secretary, Renee Hansen, have been a big help. Let's see, Vivian Lacey, yes, they're every single week. And Tom Frederick is our sound person this morning. I also want to recognize our musicians with us today. We're blessed to have Anton Miserak and Laura Berryhill as our musicians this morning. Real quick announcements. We are doing a live joint broadcast this morning. You see 2 other ministers on the stage. Reverend Bobby Becker from Namaste CSL in Long Beach. Yeah. And my baby sister, Reverend Dr. Kristen Hawkins, founding minister at Namaste and senior minister for 16 years. We'll be all talking to you in a little bit. Let's see, one announcement about our morning spiritual call. Not tomorrow, but 1 week from tomorrow, we will be changing the link to access that call because Zoom is requiring a password, but I understand I'll be sending out the link in our newsletter. I understand if you click on the link, you won't need the password, it's embedded. I think that's it. Let's see. Next week, Gino Walker, some of you know her and love her, will be speaking and doing our music, and you will not want to miss that service, trust me. Okay, and finally, we have special guest Dana Machado, you all know, is here to tell us a little bit about our partnering with Northwest Seasonal Workers Association. Dana, take it away.
Yay. Thank you. Thank you. I'm going to read, so I'll stay on script. Hello, dear CSL family. It's so good to be here with you once again. I am Dana Machado, your community outreach leader, with you today representing Northwest Seasonal Workers Association as a volunteer and organizer with my fellow organizer, Caitlin McGuan. Some of you might remember our many presentations at the center. So, okay, could you hold the, thank you. I didn't get to this part and I practiced. Okay, we invite you to visit our outreach table to find out how you can take action by volunteering and supporting NSWA's organizing drive in Southern Oregon. Since the start of this pandemic, our office continues to stay open from 9 a.m. to 9 p.m. every single day, delivering emergency food requests, scheduling medical and legal advocacy, benefit sessions, and under the direction of our members, comply with state-mandated protocol to keep us all as safe as possible as we face these unprecedented challenges. NSWA has been recognized, excuse me, has been recognized by a local hospital as a disaster relief organization, which we're much more than that, but it is an honor to be seen in that light. We are calling all of us into action by participating in ending poverty and creating a world that works for the majority of the time. So, thank you for your continuing support of our winning program. Come see us at our outreach table. We'll be right up there under the shade. Thank you so much. Thank you. Wow.
And I understand there is a sister organization in Long Beach for our Long Beach viewers. So we'll let you know more about that as I learn more about that. Such a great organization. So we're live now simultaneously with Long Beach, California, CSL, namaste, wow, and us. And there's a group of us here in the park who are socially distanced, everybody wearing masks. And then there are those of you online. So Reverend Bobby Becker, it is so good to have you here with us. And
Good morning, everyone. Oh, it's so good to be here. We've spent a few days here in Medford. What a beautiful area. I've never been up here before, so people are so gracious here. It's so wonderful to be live with people. I have been speaking to a camera for 3 months. A camera, not people. So this is so amazing. And Kristen and I were over here talking about just the fact of having live music. I've been watching it through my own little tiny screen, my computer. So it feels like we're having just this beautiful experience with our cousins up here in CSL Rogue Valley. So thank you for joining us.
Thank you, Bobby. We'll be hearing more from you. Kristen, anything you want to say as we start here? Reverend Dr. Kristen?
It's really hard to use a Kleenex through your mask. I'm just really thrilled to be here. More soon, but welcome everyone, and thank you for blessing us this morning, the three of us.
So, yeah, let's all just take a deep breath, relax, take your beverage if you're at home, your water if you're here. Yeah, and let's turn things over to enjoy our opening song by Anton Miserak and Laura Berryhill.
Our opening song is by Eddie Watkins Jr.
We have the honor of performing it for you. Dancing is allowed, clapping too.
Take a look at the person next to you.
Say, I
Recognize the God in you. Feel the love in the sanctuary. Repeat after me.
We come together, we come together, we come together. In the name of love,
We come together.
we come together.
Let's see some of you stand up.
In the name of love.
Take a look at the person next to you. Say God loves you and I love you too. Feel the love in the sanctuary. Lift your voice and repeat after me. We come together,
We come together, we're here together.
in the name of love. We come together, we come together, we come together in the name of love. From every walk of life, every creed and color, in kinship we unite. Oh, in honor of the God in each other. Take the person next to you. Namaste, I bow to you. Feel the love in the sanctuary. Lift your voice and repeat after me. We come together, we come together, we come together in the name of love. We come together, we come together, we come together in the name of love. we come together, we come together, we come together. In the name of love, we come together, we come together, we come together. In the name of love.
Woo!
Ah, how wonderful to be here today again. I want to share, as we prepare for our invocation, a lovely poem that's written by Steve Taylor. It's entitled The Same Substance. How can we be separate when we're the same substance? Body and soul, collections of the same atoms, and channels of the same soul source. Let's be like children, whose beings are too empty to be filled with distinctions, too open to be closed off by prejudice, too fluid to be clogged up with concepts. So whole and so connected that they don't need to build a fortress of identity. What is it that separates us? Only the illusion of identity, only the illusion of separation. And so as we take this moment now to perhaps join me in closing eyes or taking a deep breath, I'm filled with the joy truly of being and basking in this day together. A day of celebration, a day, if I were to choose a word, of connection. Certainly the connection that is felt as folks in this community have been able to greet each other with a twinkle in their eyes, if not a smile on their mouths. A day in which those not only in person, but those who are blessed by the magic of our video streaming and ways of reaching out to one another and feeling that connection. But even more importantly, perhaps, a day of connection in which we remember that medium that permeates all life and all beings. That which so many have described in such beautiful words, but today I just simply feel as a thread that weaves itself in and through and as each and every one of us, that will not allow separation. No matter what the appearance, no matter what the circumstances, let us this day anchor ourselves in that beauty of the one life, the one presence, the one power, and the one love that is each and every one of us as the living Spirit God. So I bless today, I bless the gathering that happens through that magic of this universal web. And I give thanks for all of this and so much more. And so it is. Amen.
Please join us in a chant for universal compassion. From the Buddhist tradition, it's a chant to allow that compassion to emanate from us and to recreate the universe as a three-dimensional mandala of universal compassion. The words to the chant are Om, Tare Tare, Tut Tare, Tu Re Soha. Om, Tare Tare, Tut Tare, Tu Re Soha. tare, tutare ture soha, om tare 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 tare, tutare ture soha. Tare tare, tutare ture soha, om 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 tare tare, tutare ture soha. Om tare tare, tutare ture soha, 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 om tare tare, tutare ture soha. Tutare ture soha, om tare tare, tutare ture soha, om tare tare, tutare ture soha.
I hesitate to speak until the last tone dies down. Isn't that beautiful, you guys? Thank you so much. Oh, Anton and Laura. Yeah. My message, and really it's become our message, so it's expanding, but my original message for today was come together, because we're doing it. We're coming together. And I just want to, and just remember that it's a coming together for these two as well. I first met Anton at Asilomar. Some of you have attended our Science of Mind. We used to have our annual convention at Asilomar every year on the Monterey Peninsula, and Anton did the beautiful, beautiful music and meditation. And he lives in Mount Shasta, so when I moved up here and became senior minister, we connected, and they're now our music coordinators. How blessed are we? Thank you. So I have to have a moment. You know, I kind of wish I could see your mouths, but I can see your eyes and I can see your bodies, and it's so sweet to see you coming together. Wow. My goodness. And yet somehow during this time of isolation, we have come together, haven't we? I mean, I want to talk a little bit about how this happened, this whole joint service today. 3 weeks ago, on Sunday afternoon, I'm usually pretty tuckered. These two would remember that and agree with that. And I'm just kind of relaxing at home, and I get 3 voice messages. One from my sister, Kristen, one from Reverend Bobby, one from Kristen's wife, my wonderful sister-in-law, Deborah Scanlon. They're all together, along with Janine, Bobby's wife, plotting a trip. Bobby and Janine are in a motorhome, drinking too, dare I say that? I saw that, Kristen, I'm outing you. Yeah, they did sound a little happy on those messages. Anyway, they called and said, we're coming up to Oregon, and we're going to be there on the 12th, and we'd like to do a joint service. And I was so excited because I know a lot of you haven't seen your relatives, a lot of you, right? I hadn't seen Kristen and Deborah in over a year. So up they came, and we, Reverend Bobby's topic is the one that has been recommended for our movement. And so we're kind of tying them all in, but we're loosey-goosey. Our aim today, one of our biggest priorities today is what, you guys? Have a good time. Have a good time. Yeah. So the other theme at CSL is none are free until all are free. And really the two are intertwined, and we're going to intertwine them. So I'm just going to talk for a minute, and then I'm going to bring these two up, and we're going to do a conversation together for the message this morning. What I wanted to say is that in Buddhism, there's something called the triple gem, and it's really a concept that exists in all major faith traditions. It just isn't called the same thing. So the triple gem is three ways we can seek refuge. The Buddhists believe number 1 is the Buddha, which represents enlightenment. In our denomination, we talk a lot about Christ consciousness. The consciousness of Jesus Christ was a consciousness of knowing our oneness with the divine as the divine, and oneness with each other. The second gem in the triple gem is something called Dharma, which is truth or teaching. And certainly in Science of Mind, we're all about education, teaching spiritual principles, and living by spiritual principles. But the third gem in the triple gem is something in Sanskrit called Sangha, which means community. And community is how we remember the teachings, how we help each other practice the teachings. When I went to Reverend Kristen's church, I moved from California to Long Beach and was a staff minister at Namaste for a while, which was such a joy to be in ministry with my sister. She used to say at the beginning, I don't know the exact words, but it was something like, we come together to remind each other that we are precious and awesome beings. And that's really what Sangha is all about, isn't it? To remind each other, and even the each others that we don't particularly agree with. I love that we did the chant about universal compassion. It's not just compassion for those that are in my political party, or those that look like me, or those that believe like me. It's we are all one. And so it's such an honor to come together in so many ways. My sister church, Namaste, I still have such ties there, and I love you all. My sister and Bobby, Reverend Bobby and I met in ministerial school. We were in class together for a while. So I'm going to welcome Bobby up, Reverend Bobby and Reverend Dr. Kristen, and let's have a conversation here.
You know, I feel like I'm standing between two pillars. Have you noticed that? Anybody notice that? I mean, it's so interesting how this came together for me, and I know it's different for each one of us. We all have a story. I feel like I've lost my mic, or it's not. How's that? Can you hear me okay? You want me closer. So I met Kimberly in school and immediately connected with her.
Same here.
Immediately connected with her, and we stayed in touch even though she left. I watched her. I have a feeling she watched me too. And had this experience. I had this experience in the world of looking for my own spiritual home, and had a few along the way. I ended up in Namaste as what we call the gap minister. I don't even want to explain that. But while I was there, Kristen and I had never had a conversation before. And so I had reached out to her after I came to Namaste to understand a little bit about the community. I had gone a few times but was never a member, and had a beautiful conversation with her that after a period of, let's have Namaste's 20th anniversary, Kristen came in and did this amazing gift of a talk to the community that she birthed. Mm-hmm. And my wife and I and her wife and her, we became friends. And I'm emotional about that because then it became this experience right here. And I feel it's you never know how things unfold. And I use that term, that quote of Ernest Holmes, which says that things unfold silently. And we never know how something is going to where it's going to transition to, or how it's going to transition. Even this week, we lost one of our beloved practitioner emeritus that I know these two knew so well. She was an icon at Namaste, and I just honor her today because she was so amazing. So part of the message today, and then I'm going to stop, is we get to let go of experiences that we're having to transition to new experiences because that's how we grow. And that includes in community. So as we come together, it's never going to be the same. Look what's been happening in the last few months. It is not the same, and it won't be the same. Can I open that it will be beautiful and precious as what Kristen calls community, so what we do in community, so. Please.
It could be very dangerous to give me a mic because I haven't had one in like 5 years other than a couple of minutes.
It's a little hot up here, too.
Yeah. So, first of all, I love my sister, and you who are out in front of me, I think, are really, really blessed to have her as your minister. So I think we ought to just give her some love. And I have also come to absolutely adore Reverend Bobby. And I can't think of, when you birth a community, you want it to be in really good hands when you move on to something else in life. And I feel like Namaste is in really good hands. Mm-hmm. So thank you for that.
Thank you.
Now, I want to tell you something really serious. How many of you have a Ninja foodie? I see one hand. How many of you have pressure cookers, air fryers, some device like that, a favorite kitchen appliance? We have a Ninja foodie, and it is the precious device of our kitchen, and it requires quite a bit of power. So recently, I've, as my retirement project, I've been working on refurbing a van, a Sprinter van, and turning it into a camper van. So of course, the foodie has to go with us, because how else would we cook? Now, to do that requires an incredible amount of power. And so we've been researching solar panels and huge batteries and converters and inverters and all this kind of stuff. And one of the things that I discovered was we measured how many watts of power we needed for the Ninja, and then we spec'd out the solar panels. And, the Ninja takes 1,750 watts. I know you're going to remember that because that's really important. And the solar panels we picked out were 480 watts, but they'll charge batteries that'll handle the foodie. And we thought we were set. And then a little more research, and what I discovered was when you hook up 3 solar panels, you have some choices, but most people, to have them be most efficient, put them in series. Mm-hmm. And what that means is that when you're traveling about, if you have one little twig that covers one little part of one of the solar panels, you don't get 100% of charging power, you get like 30, because it kind of wipes out that whole panel. And so you have to be very careful about how you care for the panels and how you make sure that every single cell is clean and polished and unobstructed. Mm. So when I was thinking, and we were talking over, yes, a few beers, about this wonderful theme of we're not really all free until every single one of us is free, I was thinking about my solar panels. Because the truth is, in the web that we live in, we may think today that we are absolutely free. And I feel pretty darn free at this stage of my life. But there is a level and a power of experiencing freedom that I haven't tapped into yet because we are all not free. And the moment that we begin to understand that, and we realize that our brothers and sisters, no matter what walks of life, that when they are able to step forward and experience all of who they are, that we get to experience all of who we are. And we get to enjoy our ninja. And we get to feast on whatever it is that we put our minds to. And so when I think today about this connection, I am very much aware today of the connection not just on this beautiful lawn, but of the connection that is in and through our whole world. So that's what's in my heart today. And I have a feeling that when I go back to my van life and the preparation, there will be more lessons because that's sort of the way it works. We get fed and we get continued 2x4s, as I love to say, until we understand what this beautiful universe is trying to guide us to understand. Thanks.
I knew she was going somewhere with that metaphor. I have a quote I'd like to read that speaks to what Kristen just talked about. It's from Martin Luther King in his letter from Birmingham jail on April 16th, 1963. He said this: "Injustice anywhere is a threat to justice everywhere. We are caught in an inescapable network of mutuality, tied in a single garment of destiny. Whatever affects one directly affects all indirectly."
You know that both of what you've said, there's a book that we're reading this month about Mandela's leadership. And he says that when conditions change, you must change your strategy and change your mind. And I think about how this COVID has come up, and then some of the marches that have shown up, and it keeps inviting me to consider my part in all of it. What Kimberly talked about earlier is the idea of Sangha really invites me to consider others, not just myself, but others. So even as we're walking around and I see folks wearing masks, and I see separated in a sense, or distanced in a sense, physically distanced in a way that is not just about myself, but it's about others. The city of Long Beach was kind of hit hard downtown right near our center when the marches started. And when we came together the day after, there were thousands of people in downtown Long Beach. Our center had been tagged and already cleaned up by 7 a.m. Wow. And people were helping store owners put their stores back. And we were sweeping up and we were cleaning up, and it was one of the most amazing experiences that I had been involved in. And at the same time, it invites me to consider where my own biases are. Where am I blind to the fact that freedom in my own life is not experienced in an infinite way, but it's also experienced differently for others. It exposes my own bias. It allows me to, as I was walking around, there was just such an intentional way that people were greeting one another. Mm-hmm. So the invitation in such a big way was to be so intentional with what I say, back to what I think, to how I act in the world, that everything I do actually matters, which goes back to being how precious each one of us are. Mm-hmm. And that, when we forget that, then we're actually contributing to bondage rather than freedom.
Thanks for that, Bobby. You know, Facebook is a pretty powerful medium. And I got a lesson from my sister this week. She had read a comment that somebody had made on another comment of another comment of another comment of another comment. And it was from someone that she knew in the past, briefly. And it wasn't the kind of comment that I would say gave me warm and fuzzies. It felt like it was off. It had a tone of judgment, and it just didn't feel right. And I know that at this moment in my life, I know I can't save the world. And so there's part of me at times that wants to just unfriend and let it go. Mm-hmm. And that's okay if that's the best I can do right now. It really, truly is, because certainly we would all, I think, agree it's better than engaging and escalating. But my sister took the time to center herself and respond to that comment, not in a teaching judgmental way, but in a call to another possibility way. And I think to do that, we have to be able to let go of whether or not in our mind that person gets it at that moment or not. And so again, I think it's okay to just turn away if that's what we need to do at the time. And yet, if there are times that we're able to turn towards and bring the love and the truth and the compassion to that discord, then perhaps then we're really a healing agent. So thank you, Kimberly, for that reminder.
Thank you, sister. You've taught me so much. I feel called to share a little story that's appropriate here. That Yeah, I have the mic now. You're cut off. I heard it from Tara Brock, but it's a story some of you may have heard, and it speaks to listening versus being. Anybody here ever feel righteous in recent weeks? Like righteously indignant? Yeah, come on. I know there are more. Yeah. So listen to this story. It's not a true story, but I think it's a great teaching story. It involves a U.S. aircraft carrier off the coast of Canada. Their radar is picking up a ship nearby, and they're on a collision course. So the U.S. ship radars or radio signals the other ship, please divert your course 5 degrees to the south to avoid a collision. The Canadian reply, recommend you divert your course 15 degrees to the south to avoid a collision. U.S. ship. This is the captain of a U.S. Navy ship. I say again, divert your course. Canadian reply, no, I say again, divert your course. U.S. ship. This is the aircraft carrier USS Coral Sea. We are a large warship of the U.S. Navy. Divert your course now. Canadian reply, this is a lighthouse. Your call. I take it as a personal message to just be a little careful about my judgments and my assumptions and my righteous indignation, and a little more listening might go a long way to averting disaster.
Love it.
Oh, yeah. I love that story. You know, I have this relationship with my father, and if he's watching, hi, Dad. And we have very opposing views, or we did. So we did. And I realized from my sister a number of years ago, because that's what happens in families. Aren't they our greatest teachers, right? These two? We had opposing views. It doesn't mean we have to be opposed to one another. It doesn't mean we have to be opposed to one another. I keep losing my mic here. Can you hear me? There we go.
There you go.
Kinda. So what I keep finding out is that I keep asking others to change so that I'm comfortable. It doesn't work. Because they're asking me to do the same thing. So what I've heard from my family is that they have found that they are loved most often by me when I stop judging them and what experience and opinion they should have. And so, can I let go of being right? Can I let go that there is only one way? Can I let go that if it's not my way, that it won't unfold in the way that it should? It comes back to Ernest Holmes saying, silently unfolding. So the practice I'm having on social media and anything else is this idea of Sangha I'm going to come back to again, which is, and something that Kristen brought to Namaste, can I see the face of God in everyone? And remember, that's what's first. That's what's first. Because if I continue to see another person as the other, judging them to be less than because they're not, walking my path, then I'm missing the point of having this experience of freedom, of peace, of joy. So with my father, we can have differing point of views, not opposing views, and still look at each other and have that engagement and be with each other in a way that's love so that I can contribute. So I get to focus on me, contribute to a world that works for everyone and be a beneficial presence.
Thanks, Rev. We seem to be going down the line here, so I just want to add one piece, I think, perhaps. It strikes me that most of my life I thought that there was a right and a wrong. And because of that, if I was very clear that I had the right, then I would do everything I could to be a beneficial presence to the other person and convince them that I had the right. In a very loving way. And sometimes in a not so loving way. But the truth is, if we believe that there is a presence and a power that is absolute blissful intelligence, then our job is truly to get out of the way so that we can allow that wisdom to flow through ourselves and our friends and our family. And I keep having this image of a clogged up strainer. Do you try to force the water through the clogged up strainer, or do you sort of reverse the flow and let it unclog itself? Because the truth is, even the clog has some wisdom in it. The clog allows the water to back up so that it pushes back up into the sink so that, guess what? The stuff that was clogging moves aside. And left to its own devices, it will clear itself. So what a relief that is to kind of go, wow, I guess I really truly can let go of my idea of a right and a wrong, or that I have to be the conduit for that. And instead, I can turn my attention to being a loving presence that allows whatever is happening in another person's experience to be their experience, knowing that they too will be guided, just as each and every one of us are, to clear off whatever it is that's blocking them. It's clearly time for me to stop because the mic's coming in and out.
Thank you, Kristen. So I'm coming back to this idea of oneness, really the core teaching in our Science of Mind philosophy. Kristen's teaching that we're precious and awesome, and that in Sangha it is our job to remind each other. We say that often about our practitioners. They're here to remind us of the truth of who we are, especially when we forget. I love this little phrase from the poet Mary Oliver. She said, "Every day I was surrounded by the beautiful crying forth of the ideas of God, one of which was you, and you, and you, and all of us." I'm thinking about our collaboration with Northwest Seasonal Workers Association, an organization that really believes everybody should have a chance at happiness and prosperity. And I'm reminded of a little story about an African tribe. An anthropologist was visiting, some of you may have heard this, and devised a little game proposed to the children in this African tribe. He put a basket up front and invited the children to race to the basket, and the first one to reach it would get all the fruit and get to eat all the fruit. And here's what happened. When he told them to run, they took each other's hands and ran together, and then they sat together enjoying the fruit. When asked why they ran like that, as one could have taken all the fruit for herself, they said, Ubuntu. How can one of us be happy if all the others are sad?
Yeah.
And I don't know, is that a place to stop,
Should we
or do we
pray?
have more time?
We'll pray.
Yeah.
Okay.
Prayer time. prayer time. I love prayer time. These guys asked me yesterday who wanted to do the prayer, and I went, I do.
She still knows how to do it.
So
Yeah, but you knocked us over when you did that. You kind of ran through and said, I'll do it.
we have a
it's
video
like,
of
you
this
know.
actually in the backyard. So I'm going to invite us to, I used to say, take our collective deep breath together. And what I know as we do this prayer together today is that it may be my words, but more importantly, it's our hearts that come together in a recognition and in a feeling of the truth of our beings. When I speak those words, I can feel the goosebumps even in this warm weather. Because truly, there is one power and one life. And it has so many different faces. And I relish and I bask in those faces because each and every one is the individualized expression of that one life. When I remember this truth, I know too that that fabric that we speak of connects each and every one of us in ways that we cannot imagine, in blissful ways that we experience the power of the full panel to illumine our lives and give us that which we seek, to provide, to protect, to share its wisdom, to flow through each and every one of us, its love, its compassion, and its power. And I'm reminded as well that with that power and that fabric comes the possibility of our individual choices to either suppress or to allow. And so today, my prayer is that each and every one of us, in ways that we cannot even imagine, are allowing the beauty, the grace, and the love of God to flow through us, to flow through our neighbors, to flow through those that we don't even know, but with our consciousness that we set free. We are truly blessed, each and every one of us. And so it is. Amen.
So it is.
This is a song by Michael Stillwater. I heard it 40 years ago. Hopefully I remember it correctly. Singing in celebration, we are one in harmony. Singing in celebration, we are one. Singing in celebration, we are one. Singing in celebration. Ever free, one with all creation. we are one. Singing in celebration, we are one. Singing in celebration. Is ever free, one with all creation. Who we are is ever free, one with all creation. We are one, singing in celebration. We are one, singing in celebration. We are one, singing in celebration. We are one, singing in celebration.
Thank you. Anton Miserak and Laura Berryhill, thank you so much for being here. We've protected the keyboard from the sun because when it gets hot, it doesn't play. But we made it through. So it's a time in our service now where we speak about another spiritual practice called sacred giving. And I want to thank, on behalf of me and Reverend Bobby, all of you who have continued to support our centers during this time of COVID when we haven't been able to meet in person. And we're going to invite you to give as you are able. The slides will come up for our two respective communities about how to do that. Here at the park, there is a table as you entered up on the hill, and there's a basket there. Rather than passing a basket, you can leave a donation there. Or, of course, there are many ways to give. But I'm going to ask you to take your gift in your mind's heart, if you will. Place it over your heart. And let's say together, divine love as me
Divine love as me
blesses and multiplies
blesses and multiplies
all that I am,
all that I am,
all that I have,
all that I have,
and all that I choose to circulate.
and all that I choose to circulate.
As the Bible says, press down. We're going to do this. Shaken together and running over. Reverend Bobby.
So, at Namaste in Long Beach, there's a couple things I just want to express our gratitude for. One is the beautiful hospitality of Rogue Valley CSL. And I know Namaste looks at this community as kind of like a cousin, and in gratitude for giving. I know that as we give to our centers, what we're saying is we're giving to our community that is us. This is the place that I'm spiritually fed, no matter what role I have. And therefore, I tithe to that place, and I give to that place. And by doing so, I grow in my understanding and recognition of the abundance that is my life. And for those in Namaste, just as you just saw, I'm sure you probably just mirrored what Reverend Kimberly did. The gift that we give is the gift we give to ourselves. It is part of our spiritual practice. It allows us to grow into a greater understanding of the divine nature of who we are. So at Namaste, ways in which we give are on Give Plus. I know that there's a slide up way down in Long Beach, by the way. We do it with PayPal, we do it with Venmo, we do it a host of ways, but we do it in a way that I must say so gratefully that Namaste, built and birthed by this amazing woman, continues to support its community because community, Sangha, the idea of Namaste continues to grow and continues to be what it was meant to be. It evolves, it transitions, and the experience continues to change, but the bones of the community remain. And so in that gratitude for that gift, I just say, thank you, God. And so it is.
And so it is. So thank you all so much for being here. Thank you for joining us online, Namasteers and CSL RVers. I'm going to read a final little prayer as our blessing, then we'll have
Can
our
I say one thing,
closing song.
Kimberly?
Yes, yes.
Can I interrupt you? Only because I
You
just
can.
want to know we're sending someone your way. Namaste is sending someone your way. Deborah Bongard, for those of you that know, and Diane Abshire are moving up here to Oregon.
Yeah.
and we're sending them your way.
Oh, and we will gratefully claim them. But they're moving to Portland, not Rogue Valley.
But they
right?
plan on attending, I've heard.
All right.
So I just want to say that, and I want to thank Deborah for doing our meditation today, Nikki for doing our streaming today, and I'm going to turn it back over to Rogue Valley.